start before we start wrapping up. Did that gift of banter, was that something that you grew up with? Is that because you had brothers or?
Are you saying I have a gift of banter? Then, I mean, I guess maybe. My wife just thinks I talk too much. She thinks I like to hear my own voice. I don't know. It was funny though. Another side story. When I got my black belt, you guys will be there someday. Archie, you'll be there soon. You're supposed to give a speech, right? You guys been to black belt ceremonies. You're supposed to give a speech. And my buddy Keith got his black belt with me, and then my buddy Jordan. And I hit up Coach Jamie and gave him my black belt. I was like, hey, yo, so we're supposed to make a speech, right? He's like, yeah, nothing crazy. I was like, yeah, so like I wrote mine out and I practiced it in front of the mirror and it's like 15 minutes long. Is that okay? And he was like, nah, dog, that's too long. That's too long. You got to cut this thing down, son. And I was like, all right, I'll go back and rework it. I cut a bunch of stuff out. I crossed out a bunch of names. And I went back and I was like, I got it down to 10 minutes, dude. Can we do 10 minutes? And he was like, well, you got to give everyone else a chance to talk too. I was like, yeah, but Keith doesn't want to give a speech. Like, yeah, Keith did not want to give a speech. Keith's like, Nate can have he's like, make it 5 minutes. Keith's like, Nate can have my 5 minutes. He's like, I'm going to give like a 1 minute speech and Nate can do the rest. And I was like, all right. That's why I got to do a 10-minute black belt speech, was just because my buddy, although his ended up being longer than once you get up there and you're talking in front of people and things kick in and stuff. But yeah, I don't know, man. Like I've always been a talker. You think I'm long-winded verbally, right? In writing, I was much longer-winded, very prolix, I think is the word. And that was great in philosophy, because in philosophy, the more you could talk about tiny minutia concepts, the better, right? That's why I was able to get A's. I'm like, oh, I could bullshit about, whatever, Plato's forms. I'll write 60 pages on that, no problem. But then you get into law school and they want a different type of writing. They still want logical, analytical process, but judges don't want to read 100 pages on one tiny element, right? They want clear, concise, boiled down arguments. And my first year of law school, I was a 1L, and they put you with a 3L who is finishing up 3 years of school, right? And they're like your mentor, right? And the very first thing I wrote for law school, the teacher was like, okay, this is going to be 1 page. I want you guys to do this brief in 1 page. Don't go over. And I sat down to write it, and I just could not make it 1 page, man. I was trying my damnedest. It ended up being like 2 pages, and that was like me cutting out all these arguments and shortening all this stuff. And I was like, fuck, all right, I just can't cut this out. I can't cut this out. This is too important. So I turned it into my mentor, my 3L buddy, and he looks at this man, and he's like, dude, this is way too long. You could chop a lot of this out. And I was like, I can't get it shorter than it was like 1 3/4 pages. He's like, well, you're going to need to, because she said 1 page and she meant double space. This is single space. This is 4 times longer than needs to be. And I was like, oh my God, I want to fail out of law school if I can't even do it. And he was like, don't worry, don't sweat it, son. He's like, I'm going to show you. He's like, all this can go, go back and rewrite it. And I got it down to a page. I was like, oh, none of that's needed. He's like, no, the court already knows all that. They're already assuming these facts. You don't got to tell the whole preamble story. Just this piece right here. I was like, oh. He's like, this piece? You struggled like 1 paragraph? He's like, that's perfect. That's an A. Cut everything else out. I was like, you the man. And then I was there after that. But I'm long-winded. I think I am a middle child, and I did have 5 brothers. And I was telling my wife to be heard in my house, because you imagine a house full of rowdy boys. And dad's not there. We were just wild children. To be heard, you had to be like loud. You had to, really stand out and make a scene. And I was a middle child, and I wanted to be heard, so I was loud and I stood out to make a scene.